The recent Afrimat Construction Index follows the trend of most composite indicators of economic activity since the beginning of the year. The Afrimat Construction Index increased for the second successive quarter in the last quarter of 2017. Independent economist and GIBS lecturer Dr. Roelof Botha joins me now to discuss the findings. Dr. Botha, thanks for your time. Let's just perhaps first have you frame for us what came out of the index before we talk about what is more important, which of course is the future.
Well, the good news is that it was the second successive quarter, as you've indicated, that it increased. It's not where it should be. It's still lower on a fourth quarter basis than it was a couple of years ago, but right. The improvement is very encouraging. And remember, this was a quarter when things were still not going well. There was a lot of policy uncertainty. The mood in the country isn't what the mood is right now. Yeah,
that's the point I was going to make, actually, that it increased in the third quarter and then in the fourth quarter, which were all Zuma quarters.
Yes, but it only increased marginally.
I see what you mean. Okay. Break it down for us in terms of what the index covers so people understand exactly what we're talking about and where this confidence is coming back into.
Well, we've got an interesting array of indicators that, in combination, they give us a good idea of what's happening in this industry.
Right.
Because what often happens is that you have one particular indicator saying, oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Another one says, oh, it's quite good. Another one says a word in the doldrums. Depending on the time when these individual indicators are released. So what we've decided to do at Afrimat is to put these indicators together, weight them according to their relative importance to the Afrimat business model, and see what the, one can almost say, the average outcome is.
Right.
And the important composite indicators include building materials produced,
right.
The volume, also the sales value, hardware sales, also in real terms. We express everything in after adjustment for inflation, building plans passed, etc.
You have 9 indicators.
Yes.
Were all of them up?
No.
Okay. But you tell me what was down and what was up.
The 5 of the 9 went up.
Okay.
The most significant one. The most significant one is the hardware sales, and you see your dilemma with construction indicators is that, as most people know, is that in December the construction
industry closes.
It closes. But what happens is that now it's holiday time, so you've got your DIY guys out there.
Yes.
So the hardware stores, they stock up on building materials, etc., because they know people are going to come in there and buy cement and some aggregate.
Even the guy who's actually not at work and the CEO running a business, he's busy trying to fix his bathroom and these other little places around his home.
His wife is standing behind him with a whip.
Yes, of course.
I'm telling him right now it's time.
Sounds like it happens to you. So we had that improvement. 5 of the 9, you're saying, were improvements.
Yes.
What didn't go up?
Well, unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, your volume of building materials produced, like in quarries, etc., which is the main business of Afrimat, one of their main areas, but they're very diversified.
Right.
That tends to hit a slump in the fourth quarter,
right.
As opposed to your hardware sales and your salaries for construction, because it's bonus month.
Right.
So that's one of our areas where it didn't do so well. We expect that to bounce back very strongly in the first quarter.
Let's talk about that first quarter. I was joking with you saying earlier we should call it the Ramaphosa quarter, because everybody seems to be talking about how confidence seems to be coming back into the economy because of Ramaphosa and the promise that he brings. How do you see things panning out?
Well, you've worded that very well, taken it out of my mouth. There is virtually no indicator of business or consumer or investment confidence in South Africa that hasn't increased dramatically. The rand is today almost 40% stronger than it was 2 years ago.
People forget that.
Yes.
We're very quick to forget the big changes, and because we're living for the moment.
Yes, it's been such a tremendous change, and I've asked myself the question: why am I not more excited about this change, which I had hoped would happen? And then I realized that I'm a bit of an optimist, and it's technically very difficult for an optimist to have a pleasant surprise.
Sure.
But it's coming into the equation, and if you look at the fact that, I mean, a lot of agencies and institutions out there, Old Mutual, Investec, all of them are predicting much higher growth this year. Myself as well, I do it on behalf of GIBS at this stage, the forecasts for the FinMedia survey amongst economists. So it's really looking upbeat. We expect this thing to take off. The land expropriation without comprehension, I mean compensation issue, that was a deliberate pun. I'm convinced that this will eventually peter out because it's not a good idea. It ruined the Zimbabwean economy. It ruined the Venezuelan economy. So why would we...
Why is it doing it though, do you think?
Well...
Is it trying to neuter the EFF? Because I have been trying to get my head around this thing, and I'm thinking, Cyril Ramaphosa knows that there is no way that he's going to take farms without compensation. He's got to pay something. Because if he doesn't, someone is going to take him all the way up to the United Nations. We know that's going to happen. Why is he wasting energy and time?
Well, I'm actually an economist, but I agree with your last comment. I think he's trying to steal a bit of the EFF's thunder. They seem to have a very revolutionary approach towards everything they do, which is not beneficial for investor confidence. But there are cases, for instance, where property is owned by municipalities or by state-owned enterprises or by, I don't know, there are many public agencies out there. And because of the fact that a third of our municipalities are effectively dysfunctional, they're bankrupt, they are not in a position financially or otherwise to actually develop these large tracts of land. Some of can be used for residences, some for agricultural developments, etc. I'm hoping that what they ultimately will do is actually to focus on that property, because it would be stupid to pay government if government is taking it. You don't pay yourself and then you take it back again. So I'm hoping that's the way it's going to lead into. The Parliamentary Standing Committee that has to investigate the viability of this are going to be inundated by reports and data and evidence which points to the dangers of this sort of policy. I'm convinced that the business South Africa is going to shrug this off and tell them this government under its new leadership is smart enough to realize that they shouldn't do this.
Did you hear the question come up in your conversations with your clients or with other people that you interact with?
Yes, certainly.
It does come up.
But it's a paradox. I bump into one business person or farmer and he tells me, this is not going to happen. Mr. Ramaphosa has given us, he's assured us that if it's a productive farm, there's no ways we're going to take this. It will not affect the food security. You know, South Africa is importing billions of rands of food into the rest of Africa. So we've got a strong lobby group there already. But then you find the cynics and the pessimists, and they tell you, well, I'm not going to invest my farm right now. And government will have to look at that. The uncertainty that it has caused will need to be looked at. But despite that, we will have higher growth.
Sure. A couple of difficult questions for you. Maybe this is the first one. You will have to go and do some work around it before you answer me. But here comes the question. So my question is, what percentage of farmland or properties or land, let's just class it land, is in the definition that the president is referring to? Non-productive, not contributing to the economy, etc., etc. Because I think once we understand that part, then we'll be able to say, okay, this is the percentage that the president is targeting. This is the impact that it will have on the economy. This is not what it's not going to be able to do. Let's park that question. My second question is, what do you tell your clients when they raise this issue around the president talking about expropriating without compensation as an economist?
Well, in a nutshell, what I've just explained, and that is that for the life of me, I cannot believe that the ANC government under Mr. Ramaphosa, who understands business, who knows the importance of, forget about foreign direct investment, the importance of South Africans investing in our future productive capacity. If you do not have security of land tenure and property tenure for that matter, then why would you bother to actually spend vast amount of money, intellectual capital in actually developing the property, because the land is virtually worthless unless it has been developed. So government needs to come out pretty soon with absolute certainty with regard to any productive assets that happens to be on a piece of land will not be touched as far as this is concerned. Not without compensation. That's the issue. The whole issue here is the compensation issue.
Absolutely. So I think we'll have to have faith in Mr. Ramaphosa.
Yes, we certainly should.